Hey, what's up, everyone? Evil here with my good friend Dark. We're starting a new beginner's guide series for a free-to-play game called Onigiri that we've been playing for a while. It's kind of off and on, and we've always wanted to do sort of a beginner's guide to help people who are new to the game learn uh, things about the game and to help them start out in the game, which there aren't a lot of tutorials out there on the web for this game, unfortunately. There's a wiki page, but it could be a little bit confusing because there's different versions of the game. There's a PC version, an Xbox version, and a PS4 version. And we're playing on the PS4, and unfortunately, the wiki sort of merges all the information together. So you may have information that only pertains to the PC or the Xbox version. And so we wanted to create a new beginner's guide to help people get started with the game. All right. So say what's up, Dark.
Oh, hey everybody. What's up?
All right, cool. So in this first video, we're going to talk about the class types. So when you first create your character, you're going to be introduced to um, an option to give your character a name and then choose from five of the class types in the game. And so that's your first decision that you're going to face in the game. And we're going to talk about what those five class types are and how they affect your character and your character build in the long run. So as you can see, I'm in the Onigiri game. I only have one character on this account, but over on the bottom right hand corner there's a button for create character. So if you click that, that's going to be where you create your first character. Now you're going to have your options to change your body type, your face, your hair, your clothing sets, your voice, and so forth. I'm not going to do very much of that in this video. We can certainly go over that in another video. But in this video, I'm just going to go ahead and say select. Once I do that, then you'll get an option to enter a name for your character. So you can name it whatever you want to name it. I'm just going to name my character Evilcow just for the purpose of this video, just to put something in. Um, but down below here, you're going to be you're going to have five options. So when you select each different one, as you can see, it's going to affect the type of stats that the game is going to give you. And it's going to give you a little description of what uh, that selection specializes and allows you to use. So let's talk about that a little bit more in detail. So of the five class types, it really actually comes down to the seven weapons that are available in the game. And so the weapons are sword, twin swords, odachi, which is sort of like a great sword that your character holds with two hands. There's a wand, there's a staff, there's an axe, and then there's a spear weapon type. So of the seven types, your selection here in this screen is going to affect um, a little bit of the weapons that you're going to be using in the game after you create your character. Now, another thing I want to say is that um, what you select here matters very, very little in the long run because ultimately you're going to get more stat points as you level up your character. But it matters at the very beginning because it basically sets what your default skills or your default stats are. So if you can see, power has high power stat and high vitality stats, but very low dexterity stats, and then just mediocre mind and wisdom stats. And then defense focus on more vitality and then more on mind, and then cautious is more on vitality and dexterity and so forth. And so you can select the different ones to see what they do. There's also a little description on the side that tells you kind of what weapons would be complementary to that class type. So power says that you would use a sword, you would use odachi, you would use axe and spear. And so that is very, very accurate in that description. So if you were to use any one of those weapons, if those weapon types sound good to you, then you would choose that. the power as your type because it starts you out with stats that complement that weapon type. Now, I'll also say that it's a little bit misleading here because really power should be for sword, odachi, and axe. Spear is listed on here because of the high vitality stat, but I wouldn't choose power for spear if you're going to play spear as your main weapon. So that's just something to note. Usually when people pick power, they're going to play sword, odachi, or axe as their primary weapon, right? And then defensive is going to, in the description, it says for spear and staff. Again, that's only because it default gives you more vitality stat and more mind stat, which affects staff for mind, and vitality affects spear. But defensive is really more for spear. So if you're going to play spear as your main weapon type, then you're going to want to choose defensive, as that's going to give you the best complement for your weapon type. Most people don't staff. People usually don't pick staff for defensive. Usually people pick staff for more of the cautious or the kind stat. Now let's just go down the list. So what is cautious? Cautious says is for wands, bows, and dual swords. I think that's very misleading. I don't use cautious for um, bow or dual swords, which are twin swords essentially. I use cautious for um, more of the um, wand, only because the wisdom stat complements wand very, very well. So if you're going to use wand, I would highly recommend using the cautious stats. Um, it lists on here bow and twin swords only because bow and twin swords are complementary to the dexterity stat. But so that for simplicity's sakes, wand if you're going to use wand as your primary weapon to use magic, then you're going to use cautious. Kind is a blend of both cautious and defensive, I would say. So it gives you wisdom and mind, but kind really is, I think, more of a support role, kind of what it says here. So if you were going to use staff as your primary weapon of choice, I would highly recommend using the kind stat. And then finally, daring, it says for swords, odachi, axe, twin swords, and bow. But really, most people use daring for twin swords and bow. So these are the twin swords and bow are very, very complementary to the dexterity stat. And so because daring gives you high dexterity and high power, you can essentially go mostly with twin swords or bow. You can also do swords odachi, but as I mentioned before, if you were going to choose sword, odachi, or axe, you're going to want to use the power class. All right, so that's the 5 classes sort of explained in a nutshell. Really depends on the weapon that you kind of want to use later on. So it kind of just helps you out at the beginning a little bit because it gives you more stat points into your complementary stat for the weapon that you would like to use. Now, in Onigiri, the cool thing is you can actually use any weapon type in the game. So of the 7 type, you can choose any of the 7, and you can use it at any time you want. There's no restrictions on any of that. But your effectiveness is going to be altered by the stats that you have here, the 5 stats: power, vitality, wisdom, mind, and dexterity. And you're going to want to choose the stat that complements your weapon, right? So like I said, power is going to be mostly for swords, odachi, and axes. Vitality is going to complement spear. Wisdom is going to complement wand users. Mind is going to be complementary for staff. And dexterity is going to be for your twin swords and your bow. And so the choice that you make here at the beginning of the game is going to help you at the very beginning of the game by giving you extra stats in the skills that complement your weapons. So with that said, you can still experiment with any one of the weapons, and you can experiment with any one of the builds. So the choice here at the beginning may seem a little bit daunting as you are just starting out the game and you're presented with this choice and you're not quite sure what to choose. But hopefully, with that description of the 7 weapon types, understanding that there are 7 weapon types, and then the type of weapons that you choose help complement the 5 options here that help complement the 5 stats on the right hand side. And so, if you know that, hopefully you can choose the class type that is going to be for the weapon that you're going to want to use later on. That's pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to add, Dark? Anything that I missed?
No, nothing really. You basically got everything spot on, so well said, man.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you. So, I've experimented with all 5 of them, and I highly recommend that as a new player, you choose. You can create 6 characters in game, so you can choose all 5 of them and try it out for yourself and see how it affects your beginning game style. Later in the game, um, many more things open up to you, and then this choice may be a little bit not so relevant. But for the beginning levels, as you start the game, it's helpful to understand what they are and what they can help you with at the beginning. So, yeah, thanks for watching our stream, and we'll catch you in the next one where we do another beginner's guide tutorial. I'm Evil, and my friend Dark here. Thanks for
Hey.
watching. All right, we'll catch you guys later. Peace.